Hello, everyone. We are live once again. It's been, I think, a month exactly since we were last live. I think it was March 11th, the day after the Oscars, that we were last here. So, short month, long month, lots has happened since then. Speaking of the Cannes lineup, which we'll be talking about, the Joker trailer, which we'll be talking about, that we do a little before award season fully gets into gear, a little checkup on some of the stuff that's cranking up before we hit the full festival season. But how are you feeling, Anthony? A month after the Oscars, already getting ready for the next one.
I know it has felt in many ways like such a long month that I allowed myself to start tipping a toe into Oscars 2025. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, listen, I think we've talked about this in the past couple of years that the award season is kind of it's kind of disapparating. It's that there is when you have Best Picture winners in July and March, you can have this conversation whenever it seems.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we'll have interesting things to talk about come November and December.
I think
But
we will.
given the films that are up for, and we'll talk about a bunch of them today, I do think that it's very possible this is going to be another really interesting award season. That's what's always great is that I
Hmm.
feel like we can say they follow trends, but every year we're breaking some sort of record, and so it's always
Hmm.
interesting to see what records we're breaking.
Yes, yes, I do fear some of the discourse with some of the movies later this year. We got Joker 2 and a Donald Trump movie. I mean, how is that gonna go? But we'll
Yeah.
we'll get into that. Hello to everyone joining us, Maddie, Roberto, Ayush, Aaron. Yes, we'll get into Joker and all of that. And yes, I am in California. Nice and
Woo!
nice day out. 80 degrees, very nice. We're on the same East Coast now, so hopefully less technical issues if there are any. Um,
For like a
and
month, and then I'm
yeah,
probably back on the East
yeah,
Coast.
fair,
We're
fair.
we're we're passing
Crossing
ships in the
paths.
night.
But also let me know because my microphone broke and I'm using my MacBook mic if I sound okay. I think I do, but Anthony said I did. But just please let me know just in case. But without further ado, do you want to get into the Cannes lineup announced earlier today?
Let's do it.
Let me pull up the full list here because there were some surprises, but I think overall it went pretty much as we expected. Here we go. The Cannes lineup. Here we go. Zoom in on that. Here, I'm going to just make it a separate tab. Okay, there we go. So we can just run through them really quick. First off, All We Imagine as Light, I believe, is a directorial debut. Um, I forgot what the synopsis was about. Let me pull it up. It is directed by Payal Kapadia, I believe. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. I believe an Indian director. It's about two nurses from Kerala who I think go on a trip together, I think is the gist of it. Obviously, this, amongst many of the films that we're going to be talking about here, are films that we are hearing about for the first time, don't know much about. So there's not going to be a ton to say. But that's that. I don't know if you have anything to say about that one. I'm looking forward to um, people's thoughts on it. One that we maybe know a little more about is Enora, Sean Baker from Florida Project, Red Rocket, a few other films. This is with Mikey Madison, I believe. I believe it's kind of about like sex work and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to all of these. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's always really exciting. This is what I think film festivals do, and it's one of their greatest gifts is that they cultivate these films and introduce these films to the canon. And yeah, it's really exciting. I always just love seeing that you can see Yorgos Lanthimos, who had one of the most nominated films of last year, and he's alongside directorial debuts. I just think that's what's really exciting about festivals, especially ones like Cannes, who aren't really interested in playing into, award season narratives and giving people, lifetime achievement awards based on their history in Hollywood. I really do think
Hmm.
that out of all of them, and maybe this in Venice, they really do care about the art and film as an art form. So I'm excited to learn more about these.
I agree. I would also look. Cannes is one of like the top festivals I'd love to go to. Cannes or Venice, one of those like European ones would be fun, but that also sounds expensive. So yeah. And yeah, Mikey Madison, great actress from what I've seen. So I'm excited for this opportunity for her. Next one is a big one, The Apprentice by Ali Abbasi. This is, as I just mentioned, the Donald Trump movie about what I forget how old he is. I think he's in like in his 30s. It's about when he was like
Yeah.
on Wall
It's
Street
not
and
about
stuff.
the
Right now,
presidential
President,
candidate.
no, no.
No, it's in his real estate days with Roy Cohn.
Hmm.
And Sebastian Stan plays the younger
Interesting.
Donald Trump. I
Hmm.
am interested in this, not only because clearly I have a fan for political commentary,
Hmm.
um, but I am interested to see how the media starts to depict Donald Trump, regardless of your politics. Though, we'll see. I'm sure
Yeah,
we welcome all fans, but
yeah.
I feel like you can get a sense of our politics in the
I
past.
don't think they're here anyways. I don't think we've got
um, yes,
Trumpies
but
amongst us.
I think that I am interested to see how we start to dramatize him and his legacy. It's one thing for Alec Baldwin to do a parody of him, or I think who was it, James Austin Johnston, currently on SNL.
Hmm.
Somebody can fact check me on that.
That
But yeah,
sounds right.
I'm really intrigued to see how they, because in the end, I mean, we'll talk about this with Joker. A lot of times you have to be rooting for your protagonist and you have to be empathetic to them. You look at
Yeah.
Succession; these are awful characters that you do care about. That's one of the great things I loved about David Chase, who created The Sopranos, and his reaction to people who said they wanted to see Tony die at the end. He was like, "No, you don't,
Hmm.
or you would have stopped
Yeah.
watching." So I am interested to see how they walk that line. I'm also rooting for it because one of my film professors is one of the producers. So
Oh,
little
wow.
little
Wow.
Chapman victory for them.
Maybe you could get some inside scoops about it,
Oh
get
yeah,
some questions about how it's going. Yeah, I am interested. Sebastian Stan, a good actor from what I've seen. I don't think we've ever seen him get an opportunity quite like this. He's also got A
yeah.
Different Man coming out some point
He
this year,
was
which
he was really good in I, Tonya, and I thought that that
he
is a
was.
performance that had he been nominated for supporting actor, I think would have been totally just. I thought he was really great in that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's been good so far. I think this is like his clearly biggest opportunity to like really show off some chops, along with
Yeah.
A Different Man. With apparently, from what we've heard from Sundance, he also gives a good performance in that. But it's a very, I mean, we're not doing predictions right now, but in terms of getting nominated for giving a Donald Trump performance, I just think that that sounds like one of the most impossible things to do for me,
Hey,
for it to not seem like a parody. I don't
I
know.
would have said that getting nominated for Megyn Kelly would have been too hard in theory, but then you see the movie, and if it because I think he will get a lot of respect if it lands, and I think he's had roles in things like Dumb Money or Pam and Tommy, like he's been of the Craig Gillespie culture for some time, but
Mhm.
he's guaranteed to have eyes on him. And if listen, Alec Baldwin won what, best supporting actor in a comedy series when he did SNL. If he hits it,
That's SNL
it
though. I
helps.
think this
Yeah,
is
but
not trying. This is trying to be this
but
is
think
trying to be a
about the
little more
idea.
subdued.
Like, when was SNL winning Emmy acting awards until that season? You had Kate McKinnon winning for Hillary Clinton. I
Mm.
just think that because everybody knows of the individual, I think it's easier to get eyes on it. And then if you impress them, because that's the thing we talk about with Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill or Charlize Theron as Megyn Kelly. If you can redefine the person and make you see layers that you didn't see, even in people like Donald Trump, I don't know. It's definitely one that I have a lot of interest in
I'm
watching.
very I'm very interested. I think Ali Abbasi is also a very interesting filmmaker to tackle this. I believe his previous film. He seems like he would not do like like a parody kind of take on it. It seems like you maybe take it a little more seriously. I think his last film was called like Spiderhead or something. Got good reviews. But I just think
Was that the Chris Hemsworth
no,
Netflix?
that
Oh,
was not. That was from the guy who did Top Gun. Joseph Kosinski did that one,
oh, okay.
I think.
But it had a spider. I remember it having like a
That
spider
one also
title.
had Spiderhead in the title. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I don't know. I never watched it, but I think even then Donald Trump is different from people like Megyn
He is
Kelly in
different.
that I think he's a lot more like easy to parody. He's just very distinct. Everyone can do
Yeah.
it. Not everyone can do it well, but do
Which
a Donald Trump voice.
Yeah, which could mean that if he succeeds, they give him more credit because he worked through that. Or listen, we're watching this weekend with Civil War. I have my screening tonight. It
Mm,
might be a little too close to home right now. We're very fragile, and we'll probably be, no matter what the outcome of the election is, very fragile come December, and
mhm.
when the awards are going to be voted on. So we'll see. However, I do think it's smart that it's premiering here because that way, no matter which way the election goes, people have already seen the movie. I feel like if they held on to this like in an Iron Claw situation, I do think it would be much more likely to be buried because either he wins and
The
we're
election,
so
yeah.
traumatized, or he loses and we just want to shut the door. So I do like that if they want to release this movie, they're getting it out before the election. I think is a
But we
smart
don't
play.
know when they're gonna. It's gonna get reviews like in May, June before the
Yeah,
election. But I
as
think
long
they
as
need to
people see it,
release it before. I mean, it'll be interesting the way
that's
they
fair.
choose
But
to release it
look
with
at
the
look at
election.
the response that we got when Killers of the Flower Moon started to play, and already people were saying it's one of Scorsese's best, like months
Hmm.
ahead of time. I think that
Hmm.
good word of mouth does help, especially early on, especially for
I
something
do
like
think
this.
it will be more helpful to premiere it probably amongst a European audience than amongst an American
Yeah,
audience. I think they would probably
true.
react maybe differently to
Yeah.
it compared to us who have to actually deal with this person as our leader
Um,
sometimes.
yeah, I wonder if you're picking a release date, it might be smart to go August like Black Klansman because that did very well. And this could end up being like a little indie that makes a little chunk of change. I do worry
I'd say
though
do
that
October before the
that's
election
really
starts, but
close.
like I know, but that's like in the heat of it all. I don't
Like, are
know.
you really going to
We'll
be
see.
watching if the debates happen and you're going to go straight from the debate to watch the dramatized Donald Trump
Hmm.
story? I don't know. My other worry is that we saw this with Zero Dark 30 coming out in 2012, that the issue of it being used as a political boost for the Obama campaign meant that it took its very prime, I believe, October release date and went all the way
Hmm.
to that limited in December, go wide in January release date that 1917 did very well in. So that's the other worry with this is that depending on where the politics lie, and I imagine if Sebastian Stan, who stood beside Captain America for a decade, I imagine
Yeah.
it picks a side. And then that's another question that the movie will have to combat. Again, a lot of question marks on this, which is why
Hmm.
I'm very intrigued to hear people's reactions who
Yeah.
actually get their eyes on this thing.
I'm very interested as well. It's like I think it's what Jeremy Strong is Roy Cohn, and then Maria
Right.
Bakalova is I believe
Yep.
Ivanka Trump, right? Or what's her name? Ivana? I
Ivana.
forget.
Ivana's
Ivana.
the wife. Ivanka's the daughter.
Yeah, I think oh, there's some stuff going on in the chat. I'm not gonna delete that. Um Interesting. Okay, never mind. I think that's about it. I think Maria Bakalova is probably the sympathetic character, is what I would guess. I believe they wouldn't portray either Roy Cohn or Donald Trump in a super
Yeah,
sympathetic light, but
we'll
we'll
see.
see. We'll see indeed. It's a very interesting one. Okay. Let's talk about Bird. Andrea Arnold, Barry Keoghan, and Franz Rogowski. Um, and there's another actor, I forget his name, who I think some people think might be the lead of this film. We saw him in a still. Don't know much about it. That's what we're going to say for a lot of these. Don't know much about it, but I think after the festival, we'll hopefully know a lot more. But I'm looking forward to it. I think this could be a contender. It's been a while since Andrew Arnold has been in the Oscar race,
Yeah,
but I think I could see this be a little bit of a
yeah,
comeback, or not at all. We'll see.
yeah.
We shall see. Wild Diamond by Agath Ridinger. First film, debut. Excited to see it. Once again, don't know much. I have heard a little bit about Amelia Perez by Jacques Adard, and I've heard that that could be a contender for Best Actress at Cannes. So looking forward to that. Caught by the Tides by Gia Zhangke. Grand Tour by Miguel Gomez. One that we do know a little more about, Kinds of Kindness by Yorgos. Lanthimos. Got another
One
little
of the
mini.
few with a trailer.
Yeah, we've got another little teaser. Where are these people coming from? Oh my god, the chat is crazy today.
It's crazy in a good way. I can't see the chat.
No, oh, you can't see the chat. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We've got some people throwing slurs out, which is not fun. We've never had
Lovely.
that happen. Yeah, lovely, I guess. Yeah, who knows? Um, Kinds of Kindness is what we were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, they released another teaser with Emma Stone dancing today. It looks very good. I'm very excited for it. How are you looking forward to it? How are you feeling? Kinds of
Yeah.
Kindness.
I mean, of course, he's one of my favorite filmmakers working today. I'm really, I love the kind of 1-2 mic drop that this is, that nobody knew this was coming and that it's
Mhm.
releasing what, in 2 months? Um, yeah, I just listen, Searchlight has won, I believe, 5 out of the last 7 Best Actress contenders. So they know how to play this game. I just completely trust them. I trust Yorgos. I think Emma Stone as a producer is, I believe she's producing this.
Mhm.
Is just really strong. I mean, she did Problemista, which I caught, which I thought was really interesting. She's doing I Saw the TV Glow. She of course produced Poor Things. So Yeah, I'm really listen, anything Emma Stone does, you already had me sold. You had me sold since I was 12, and I saw The
Yeah,
Amazing Spider-Man
exactly.
2, and I leaned to
Hmm.
my family when Gwen Stacy snapped her neck, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Please, it can't be so."
it's rough. It's
And
rough.
ever since then, I've been an Emma Stone fan.
Ever
So
since she died,
ever since she died.
I've been an Emma Stone fan.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
yeah, I'm very excited for it. Yorgos, Emma. I mean, great
Yeah.
cast here. I mean, we got
Summer
Jesse
release.
Plemons, Willem Dafoe, Hong Chow.
Yorgos in the summer is something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know there are lots of people doubting its awards chances because it's an anthology film. I think three separate stories. Um, and I don't think anthology films have done great at the Oscars in the past, but I mean, this is a year where we had like the Zone of Interest getting like 7 Oscar nominations and 2 wins. I think maybe past
Yeah.
thoughts about what could and couldn't be an Oscar film need to be reevaluated. So we'll see.
I
We'll
would
see.
I would be more worried about its proximity to Poor Things because that was so
Hmm.
beloved that I think this film will be unfavorably compared to it because it has Emma Stone and it's so close to the original's release date, the predecessor's release date. Um, maybe this is a sequel,
Yeah.
Bella Baxter too.
Yeah.
Um, but so I'm interested. I mean, listen, you can't deny that his last two movies were The Favorite was tied with Roma to be the most nominated film of the 2018 crop, and then Poor
Hmm.
Things was one behind Oppenheimer to be the most nominated film of the year. And The Lobster even got in as one of those quirky screenplay
Screenplay.
noms.
Yeah.
So, I mean, omitting Killing of a Sacred Deer, he's been on an upward trajectory. And even if this movie is close within what 8 months of Poor Things, you can't really ignore that it could be a big
Hmm.
contender.
As Roberto points out, the last two films that you mentioned, Favorite and what did you just Poor Things, were written with
Yeah.
him with Tony McNamara. This
Tony
time he is
McNamara.
not writing with Tony McNamara. He's, I believe it's him and I forget his name, the guy who, as Roberto says, wrote with him for Dogtooth and The Lobster and
Hmm.
Killing of a Sacred Deer, which weren't as successful with awards, but I think that's maybe because he wasn't as big of a name. But those were still weird. We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. We'll see it soon in a few months. Um, but I don't think it'll depend on I think what Searchlight's priority is because
Yeah.
I mean I've been developing our slideshow for when we do our 2025 Oscar predictions. It's been in development, um, and it's interesting. Searchlight doesn't have an obvious contender right now, so we'll have to see what happens there.
Hey, maybe this is why Night Bitch got a theatrical
I'm
release.
thinking maybe. They had what 5 of the last 7 Best Actress winners,
Yeah.
so
What was it? Emma Stone, Jessica Chastain, Frances
mhm.
McDormand, Olivia Colman, and there's one more. Um,
Was it Francis again? Francis
yes,
again?
Frances for Three
Yeah,
Billboards. Yes.
yeah. Francis
So
counts for 2 of them.
you never know. Listen, that's the other thing that's really exciting about what Everything Everywhere and Barbie and just Poor Things and all these movies. Like these aren't your King's Speech Oscar bait contenders. You know,
Hmm.
anything can be an Oscar contender if there's passion behind it. So, welcome, Night Bitch. I'm excited. Let's go,
Yeah,
Amy Adams.
yeah. A good film, finally, hopefully.
Yeah,
It's Muriel Heller, so I'm sure it will be, but
yeah.
she had a really bad Dear Evan Hansen, Disenchanted. I mean,
Disenchanted, I forgive her because, like, listen,
yeah,
it's one of your iconic roles. You come back. It's a sequel. You know, those don't
Hillbilly
always hit.
Elegy.
The others,
Yeah,
yes, I cannot
yeah,
defend.
yeah, yeah. She's had a rough little go.
Yeah.
So I'm looking
Though
forward to
I
seeing
never
her in a
think
great
she's the
movie.
problem. I will say
No,
that.
she's not.
She
She was the
always
best
gives it her
performance,
all.
and no, she wasn't. Julianne Moore. No one gave a good performance in that movie, but
Julianne Moore, I will
yeah,
stand as somebody who loathes that film.
it's really
And
bad.
I love most people associated with it. I mean, Stephen Chbosky wrote my favorite book.
Mhm.
Um, and I will stand behind Julianne Moore gave a great performance in that movie. And that's part of why the movie's so bad because it wastes that performance.
Yeah, yeah,
The
that's fair.
women I had no issue with in that movie.
Yes, yes, well, yes, I agree. And yeah, I think Amy Adams will be a big contender.
Yeah.
The last 2 Best Actress winners were wacky out there performances, and I think this. I
Yeah.
mean, she thinks she's transforming into a dog, so I think this will also be one of
Mhm.
those. And yeah, her agent is definitely doing a
Yeah.
job, all right, doing a job. Um,
Listen, she's getting paid, and I believe she's
she
above
is,
40. So
yeah,
it's a hard business. This is why people like Emma Stone, like getting that Oscar early. Even Jennifer Lawrence, Anne Hathaway, you'll work forever because you had
yeah,
that Oscar. So I'm hopeful. Listen. I've been a
me
fan
too.
since Enchanted, and I acted out the whole movie in my living room.
Hmm. Nice, nice. A few other ones that we'll learn more about when we actually hear about them when they're screened, but right now don't have much to say. We got L'Amour Oath by I'm really gonna butcher so many of these names. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna try. By Gilles Lelouch, um, Limonov the Ballad by Kirill Serebrenny, Marcello Mio by Christophe Honor. Oh, here's one we can talk about because we know way more. This is an interesting one. Megalopolis by Francis Ford Coppola, however you want to say it. There's been lots of stuff. This has been screened apparently to studio people, and no one is buying it because they think it is too weird. But I mean, I think studio people have doubted Francis and his films before in the past. So I don't know. This will be an interesting one. How are you feeling about Megalopolis right now?
I mean, listen, you go through film history and you look at what it took to make The Godfather and Apocalypse Now. A lot of you don't bet against
Mhm.
Coppola. You just don't. You don't bet against anybody in this family.
Mhm.
Um, so I am definitely excited for it. I'm not going to
Yeah,
believe this movie exists until I'm sitting down in a theater watching
fair,
it.
fair.
But it has a great cast. I'm very excited.
Mhm.
Hopefully, this is another great Adam Driver performance.
He's
I'm
been
excited.
not great with picking his movies lately, so yes, hopefully.
Well, yes, I was not a fan of The Last Duel or
Oh, really?
House of
That's the
Gucci.
only
Yeah,
okay.
that was one of our
We've
early
yeah,
debates.
we've talked about this, but
um,
yeah. I was
but
talking more like
listen,
Ferrari and 65 and the like.
65, I missed that one.
Mhm,
But Ferrari was fine. And listen, I will always have respect for him because
mhm.
Marriage Story was the movie I wrote to get into college. And of
Yeah,
course Star Wars. So and Patterson and Black Klansman. Listen, he's a great actor. So I'm hopeful that this will be another great performance. I'm excited to see Aubrey Plaza really continue to sink her
yeah.
teeth into the independent film scene. And just the vision of this thing sounds incredible. So I'm very excited. I am not that surprised that the studio heads are apprehensive about it because I do
Mhm,
think they look at what happened with Napoleon and they look at what happened with Killers of the Flower Moon and like those movies, they were for streamers. You can't. And Apple TV might have been like, well, this did what we wanted it to do, but that's not what Megalopolis. I have to get you.
Megalopolis.
I got to say
Yeah,
that in the mirror 5 times. That's
yeah.
not going to be good enough, I think, for this movie's theatrical run. So I think they
Mhm.
worry about that. Um, so listen, we'll see. I'm maybe hopeful. My fingers are crossed that maybe that Civil War, if it can perform well, maybe it gets A24 to think that this is maybe another bigger contender that they can launch. They don't have to put up the money to make it because it's already done.
I don't
Um,
A24 would be very low on my list of people who I
we'll
think would
see.
end up buying it. I think
I
either one of
just
like the big like Apple's probably not going to do it, but one of the people who like money doesn't matter to, like an Apple or an
mhm,
Amazon, might end up getting it, or maybe Universal because they don't have a huge contender right now. But I don't know if they're going to
maybe.
invest in this.
I got to see a trailer. I have to see what we're
Mhm.
working with because if it is really bonkers, then you might have to go more indie. You might have to look for your searchlights, or your focus features, rather
Mhm.
than your
Neon.
Universals and your Warner Brothers. We'll see. I'm definitely interested. I mean, again,
Mhm.
like, also, can I just have I said this before? If you
No.
have, go watch The Godfather, please. I am
Yeah. Yes.
shocked.
People. Yeah.
I sat in a room once. Did I tell this story
I
on
don't think so.
live? I once sat in a room full of senior films students, and we were
Mhm.
one of the icebreaker like questions were, "What's a movie you're ashamed you haven't seen?"
Yeah.
And literally every single person said they hadn't seen The Godfather, and
Mm.
I was melting like Raiders of the Lost Ark. I could not
Mm.
go watch The Godfather. Go watch
I've seen The
Apocalypse
Godfather.
Now. Okay,
I've
good.
seen Apocalypse
Okay,
Now. I have not seen The
thank.
Godfather 2, but that's
Um,
a different story.
you've seen Godfather. Listen, they're all great movies.
Mhm.
But Godfather. Listen, 1972. That's I look at the distance between 1969 when we had like Hello Dolly still getting
Mhm.
made, and then 1972 you have Cabaret and Godfather. So you got to
Yeah.
if you care about cinema, you got to watch The Godfather.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
turning
and
into the Ken film bro.
yes, you are. Megalopolis, for people who don't know, I think is pretty much like in the future, some sort of natural disaster happens to, I think, in New York City, and Adam Driver is kind of like this guy who comes up with this whole idea to like restructure the city so then like there
Yeah.
isn't class issues and like money issues and all that. So we'll
It
see. It'll be
seems
interesting.
it's it seems like it's pulling influence from Fritz Lang's 1930, or no, I think it was the 20s, 1920s. It's an old movie called
Mhm.
Metropolis. It's a
Yeah.
silent film, a German silent film. So, which I also recommend. It's a fantastic film, just
Mhm.
stunning, and what they were able to craft at that time, almost a century ago. So I'm interested for that because it does maybe feel like his modern answer for that. So, and I don't know why it's giving me Crimes of the Future vibes. The Cronenberg
Interesting.
film
Yeah.
that Kristen Stewart was in with, I believe, it was Viggo Mortensen, right? He was the one
Mhm.
getting
Yeah,
the
he was in
ears
that.
all over his body. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm immensely interested in this movie.
It'll be
So
someone said it before, it might be a mess, but I think it at the very least, it will be interesting.
yeah, it'll be.
And I do
Listen,
think
I will take a Beau is Afraid style
yeah,
chaotic fever
yeah.
dream from one of our great filmmakers. Because like I can't even remember. Like, have we been alive for any Coppola movie? Like any
Nothing
movie of
major.
this
He's made some
nature?
small stuff that hasn't been reviewed very well and hasn't been seen very widely, but not
Yeah.
that I'm aware of. It's been
So
a long time. So I do think that could, even if the film is a mess and it's like, I don't know, like a Babylon level reviews or something like that, because it's so like out there and crazy. And
yeah.
I've heard about some of the scenes that sound a little Babylon-esque. I'm a Babylon fan though, so who knows? Maybe I'll
Yeah.
like it. But I think maybe it's just because he invested his own money in it too. He invested a lot of his own money into it. I just wonder if people are so invested in like him having a comeback and supporting him that
Yeah.
maybe even if it's mixed and messy, it'll still sneak in because there's 10 spots, but we'll have to
And
see.
we talk about it a lot of times. If you can get in the lower category, not that I perceive them to be lower, but
The
the
tech,
below the
yeah.
line, the tech. Thank you.
Mhm.
Then you're already in the conversation, and then people consider you. I mean, this is how Nightmare Alley gets in that 10th
Yeah.
spot. This is how all of these big blockbusters, when they do push through, it's because they got that below the line support. And I could see this movie doing that. And yes, as much as I love Damien Giselle, and he did announce he's making another movie for
He's making
Paramount,
another movie.
very
Send him to
happy.
prison.
But
Send him director, Joe.
so stop.
No, it's
But
not
the
joking.
I am he will Coppola will get a lot more respect just because listen, as much as I love Chazelle, um, when you've been around and have the career and the longevity that Coppola has, I do think listen, this is why Scorsese, with The Irishman and Killers of the Flower Moon has done so well. That just people really
Mhm.
respect that he's continuing to push film forward.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, and it's got a great cast too. It's got Adam Driver. I'm excited to see Natalie Emmanuel do something outside of Game of Thrones that's not in like that Zack
Fast
Snyder
and
movie.
Furious.
Or Fast and Furious, yeah, to actually have a character to play will be exciting for her.
What was her name?
I just read
Ramsey?
Aubrey Plaza. I don't know. I've only seen 2 of those, so I'm not the person to ask. But she was in both the ones I saw.
You and Christopher Nolan should do a Fast and Furious marathon.
Yeah, apparently he's a fan. Yeah, I would happily do it with Christopher Nolan. Yeah, and yeah, so we talked about Megalopolis, Motel Destino, which I'm sure we'll learn more about once it screens. Oh, Canada by Paul Schrader. This is how Jacob Elordi wins Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor.
Supporting actress.
I was about to say that. I was like, I don't think no, yeah. Yeah, this one will be interesting. I think we have at least somewhat of a synopsis about it here. Let me look it up. As I do, any thoughts on O Canada?
I was burned by the card counter. I wasn't a big fan of that one.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
we'll see. Listen, the guy who wrote Taxi Driver, you kind of have to get. Wow, this is turning into a Anthony
Old
Film
people.
Bro seminar.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, again, I don't know. Like I feel my idea. There are very few movies that I am like. I'm not really rooting against anything. There'll be ones that I'm ambivalent towards, but it's rarely movies that are on these sort of lists.
Mhm.
And even then, I'll end up probably going to see the ones I feel ambivalent about, and then regretting the experience, like Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah,
Good lord,
I have not seen
that's
that.
how I spent my month.
I saw Kong used his child as like a baseball bat, so that looks fun. But that's really all I saw.
The movie starts because Kong has a toothache, so that's all you need to
See,
know.
that sounds like they're embracing the camp, though. But I probably won't
Oh
ever see
God,
it.
camp movies
Um,
can't be like 2 hours long.
that's fair. That's fair. Oh, Canada is about Leonard Fife, one of 60,000 draft evaders and deserters who fled to Canada to avoid serving in Vietnam. He shares all his secrets to demythologize his mythologized life, starring Richard Gere, Jacob Elordi, Uma Thurman, Michael Imperioli is amongst the cast.
You got me with Uma Thurman.
Yeah,
You know,
Uma Thurman,
sounds
recent.
s-
Yeah,
sounds like Paul Schrader's Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe it'll be interesting. It'll
yeah.
be interesting for sure.
Maybe
So
it'll
we'll
be a
see.
crossover with The Apprentice, and we'll also meet up with draft dodging
Yeah,
Donald Trump.
yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Um, Parthenope is another interesting one. I think Gary Oldman is in this one. Let's see,
Ooh.
Parthenope. I think I could see this one being a potential like Palme d'Or winner. That ends up being like our international contender. Um, it's about a woman who bears the name of her city. Is she a siren or a myth? So we really don't know anything about this film. It's from Paulo Sorrentino,
It's
who is a
always a
director
great
who
thing
we
when your
know.
log line is asking questions.
Yeah, it's literally Parenthope is a woman who bears the name of her city. Is she a siren or is she a myth? Well, we'll have to watch to find out. But Paulo Sorrentino, established international filmmaker, made many good films, starring Gary Oldman. I think he's the only big name in this. I think the rest are like Italian
That's all you
actors.
need.
Stefania, yeah. Oh, Angie just disappeared for a second. He's
Oh,
back.
I'm back.
Um, yeah, so that sounds. I could see this one potentially being a big international contender because it's Sorrentino.
Mhm,
But we'll see. We'll see. And I think then we got the Shrouds. We got a Cronenberg film. We were just talking about
mhm.
Cronenberg.
The girl with the needle. We skipped over.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, The Girl with the Needle by Magnus von Horn. The Shrouds, David Cronenberg, and The Substance by Coralie Fargiet. So most of these will learn a lot because I looked up some of them beforehand too, kind of like Parthenope. There's not a ton of info on some of it, but they released images for some of them, which we could look at, but they don't really reveal a ton.
Mhm.
So we'll learn about a lot of these films once they're screened and get reviews for them. But yeah, prediction for what's winning the Palme d'Or based off of this answer.
Oh, don't no, don't even
I don't understand doing predictions for that sort of stuff when we have no like clue of the
listen.
quality of the films. But
We've been, I think, together, the two of us, we've been paying attention for about a decade each of the
yeah,
Oscars. Like
yeah,
we've
yeah,
gotten to that point where we've been paying attention for almost a decade, more than a decade. That's how we feel confident enough to run this show. Don't ask us to
kind of,
do
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I'll just throw something out there because if it ends up being right, then I look smart. I'll say, looking at all of these, the Palme d'Or winner is going to either be Bird or Parthenope. Some interesting misses here. Lots of people thought Emmanuel, the neon film starring Naomi Merlant and I think Naomi Watts, from Audrey Dewan, who did The Happening. I'm looking forward to
Okay.
this one.
Yeah.
I think lots of people thought it was going to be here. I don't think it's ready in time, so it didn't come here. I would expect it to go to Venice if I were to guess. So I think that's another one to look out for. Some people also thought Mike Lee's Hard Truths could end up here, but it did not. That's from Bleecker Street, so
I'm
that's
gonna I'm gonna predict Coppola. I'm gonna go with that. I'm not gonna lie.
okay.
Just because I
Okay.
think that it'll be the type of thing that they give it the win, and then maybe he can use that to try and get, you know,
Mhm.
a distributor. Like maybe that's
Yeah.
part of the trajectory.
Yeah.
Also, is Greta Gerwig is the jury
Yes, she is.
president, right? Yeah.
She is, yeah. We don't know the rest
Um,
of that's also why we can't really predict. You have to kinda know the other people on the jury and their
yeah.
taste. Um,
So,
yeah.
yeah, just
You
very
think
exciting for her.
she'll go for Coppola? We'll see. We'll see. I
Yeah.
think she
I
could
mean,
go for
she's
Bird.
obviously saw The Godfather because she put it in her movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
Godfather. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's our camp predictions, I guess. Apparently, let's see. Apparently, they rejected Emmanuel, so that's interesting.
Maybe it's
We'll
a
see.
um, Justine Triet sort of situation.
Maybe, maybe. And yeah, I do think Emmanuel is going to go to Venice
Cheers.
though.
Have fun.
Oh, he said, oh, I think he said that Emmanuel is going to Venice, not he's
Oh,
going to
I
Venice.
thought.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Well, let
not
us
quite.
know.
Yeah. If you are going to Venice, please let us know. I will not be going. Um, Uncertain Regard. Once again, most of these films that we don't know nearly anything about, but I look forward to hearing more about them. But we can't really talk about them because there's not much to talk about. We'll learn more once they are screened.
Barely
Someone
pronounce
mentioned,
them because we're.
yeah, yeah. I really don't want to go through and butcher every single one of them. I'm sorry. But Roberto mentions one of them. Armand is directed by Liv Ullmann and Ingmar Bergman's
Woo!
grandson, and starring Renato Rensbe. Okay, I'm
What
looking
a
forward to that.
combo.
That's a great combo. So yeah, yeah, that's very exciting. Yeah. Oh,
Imagine
also,
it. Imagine if the Independent like industry had like the same requel desires, and we got like winter sonata, and
Yeah,
it was Lee Goldman now plays the mom character, and we cast
I would
Renata
like to see
Rides.
that.
That'd be funny.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Yutaka's here to tell me to butcher the names. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'll let you all read them. I mean, I could read the American translation,
You
English
butchered
translation.
Coppola. Like I feel like let's
Yeah,
stop with the
exactly,
Americans.
exactly. I can't even say Barry Keoghan right, so
Or
I think
Maestro.
yeah, I was made fun of all of last year for the way I said Maestro,
Sorry,
but
I
I
had to. The joke
no,
was
it's
right
okay.
there.
It is. It was right there.
You're going to be making fun of me in about 10 minutes when we get to our next topic,
We
so you're
will.
cool.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. And out of competition, I think the last thing we'll talk about here, Furiosa. What's it called? The first Mad Max Fury Road went here as well. It's out of competition.
The first
Interesting.
one or Fury Road?
Fury Road. Well, I
Okay.
haven't seen the other one, so it's the first one
No,
to
I
me.
didn't know how
Um,
far we're going back on the first one.
yeah, I don't know.
You know,
We'll see. But
because
this will be interesting.
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
don't know.
Listen, we'll see. I feel like with Dune and Joker, I feel like it's weird that Mad Max is like the third most
It's Warner
prioritized
Brothers
Warner
too.
Brothers blockbuster. Like that's so
Yeah.
strange to me. And I know that Dune they pushed; it wasn't supposed to be this
hmm
year, but it's weird that like Mad Max Fury Road, one of the first big beneficiaries of the expanded Best Picture 10 that allowed it to get in and won
hmm
6 Academy Awards. Like, yet it's I don't know. It seems like their third priority. I think
yeah.
it goes Joker, Dune,
It
and
could even
then
be fourth,
Furiosa.
which we'll talk about. I think they've got a Clint
Mm-hmm.
Eastwood film that could be a
Oh
contender
God,
this year. I don't know. I'm choosing hope.
I've
I'm
been
choosing
I've
hope.
been burned too many times by
Yeah, but this
modern
one doesn't.
Eastwood.
He's not starring in this one, so I think
He didn't star in the
that's a green
1517
flag.
to Paris either.
Well, he's using actual actors in this one. How about that?
God.
Um, I mean, Tony Collette's in it. I mean,
All right, you got me.
that's all that
You got me
needs.
back.
That's an Oscar contender right there. But yeah, I don't think Mad Max will be or Furiosa will be much of a contender outside of tech categories, to be honest.
Is Clint Eastwood the last filmmaker to have one Best Picture on like won multiple Best Pictures? Like, has there been a Best Picture winner from a director who's already won Best Picture since 2004?
Has there been a Best Picture winner
Like
from?
he had already
Okay,
won for Unforgiven, and then he won for
yeah,
Million Dollar Baby. And so since
mhm.
Million Dollar Baby, has there been a Best Picture winner that the director had
Just
already
from the
won
same
Best Picture?
director.
I'm trying to.
Good
That's
question.
a
Can
deep
you
question.
do
I'm gonna think.
Birdman, but
No,
not
because
Revenant?
Spotlight won,
Yeah,
not Revenant.
yeah. I don't know.
Um,
I don't think
I
so.
don't think
Maybe
so.
not. I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
go
so
through my
either.
head. I'm gonna think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, while you do that, let's talk about I'll talk about Horizon American Saga Part 1. There's always some blockbusters that come here. I didn't expect it to be this one. I kind of thought Inside Out 2 would go here because the first one did. But I
Yeah,
guess
Disney.
not.
I think Disney got burned by
They got
Indiana
burned last
Jones
year. Yeah.
and
Indiana Jones
Solo.
and Elemental. Elemental got panned here last year
And
too.
Solo they did, and this wasn't Disney,
They
but
did
Attack of the
so
Clones went here. It's
ah, that's funny.
it's
That's
it's
funny.
odd.
That's awesome, actually. So yeah, not a sign of quality for Horizon, the fact that it's coming here, given the fact that I like Attack the Clones more than
Listen,
2. Okay.
before our time, Kevin Costner was an Oscar-winning Dynamite. So
hmm
you gotta have perk an eyebrow up for Horizon. We'll see.
It'll be interesting. I don't think it'll be an awards thing because I think when you have two different parts of films releasing within 2 months of each other, it's just weird which one they're going to go for and all that. We'll have to see if they're even good. Apparently, it's a 4-part film saga. They've only done the
Oh,
first two.
really?
He's taking inspiration from
What is this,
Jim Carrey, I
Avatar?
guess. Yeah, yeah. So we'll have to see how that goes. It'll be interesting at the very least. We haven't seen something like that since The Matrix, where they released sequels within the same year. I haven't really seen that
Well,
recently.
technically, Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame were within one
Oh,
year
yeah, I
because
meant like
Endgame
the
was
same
April
calendar
26th,
year. Yeah.
and
Mm, I'm not counting
by
that one.
one
I'm not counting
day.
that one. Speaking of April 26th, Challenger's out April 26th. Um,
There you go.
yep, there we go. And I don't recognize these. The second act and Rumors and She's Got No Name are also out of competition. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we got a Leo's Carax film as well. Um,
Also, I did the
yeah.
math, if that's math, and I do think Clint Eastwood is the last director
Mhm.
to have won Best Picture, having already won it before. So
Mm,
there you
nice,
go.
nice. Oh, start of award season. We've got our our number one supporter, Jordan. Thank you. So, on your second glass of grape juice, listening to movie talk, it's gonna. Yeah, we do have a lot of sequels this year. It is gonna be strange. I mean,
Back
Gladiator
to
2.
2022, when we had four in
Yeah.
contention and two made it to Best Picture.
Which
Um,
two are is it gonna be this year? Dune 2 and
you know what it is. You just don't want to
it's not
admit
that
it.
one. It's not that one. It's not.
It is.
I would bet on Gladiator 2, but which showed footage just a few hours ago. Apparently very good.
May I remind you, the last time Ridley Scott was in this contention was 2015. It was 9 years ago for The Martian, and
I
he
don't
didn't
know.
even get nominated for Best Director.
Same with Clint Eastwood and Juror Number Two. I'm getting different vibes from this one right now.
We'll see.
I think Ridley Scott's more invested in this
I
one
think
than
that's because of all the hot guys they've casted. That's why you're getting the
that could
different
also
vibe.
that could also help. But I mean, it doesn't hurt at least. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Paul Mescal saw the script to it. He must have at least seen something going on there. He usually
We'll
doesn't
see.
just do anything.
I don't think.
But
Listen, you're Paul Mescal. You don't turn that
Denzel
down. Gladiator
Washington's in it.
2.
But yeah, why
Listen,
is
we'll see.
Denzel gonna be
We'll
like
see.
on
We'll
the
see.
Gladiator?
Maybe there's three. Listen, maybe there's three. I do think
I
though.
hope
I don't think Mad Max gets in. I will make that prediction.
Oh no, Furiosa, no,
We'll see.
no,
Yeah,
not a chance. Not a chance, in my
it's not a
opinion.
not. Well, it's not. There's 2% chance. It's
I
not
don't know. I
zero.
don't know. So you're telling me
Let's.
there's a
We got to
chance?
see it. Nobody's seen it.
Yeah, but it doesn't even look as good as Mad Max, even from a technical standpoint. So
I am going to reserve comments on how it looks until
that's
I
fair.
see it
That's
in
fair.
an
That's fair.
IMAX theater the way it was intended, not
Mhm.
on YouTube's compression.
Yeah, that's completely fair. So that's the can lineup. Can, almost pronounce that. How do you actually say it? I've heard people say it both ways. Is it con or can?
You
Can.
can say it any way you'd like.
That's a good pun. Okay, let's do that and then go here and change the background to what we're about to discuss now. Yesterday,
Yay!
speaking of CinemaCon, not yesterday, 2 days ago, right?
2
The
days ago.
Joker 2 trailer.
Yeah, last on Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, they released the trailer for Joker, another mispronouncing, Joker Folie Deux, if I'm saying
Duh,
that right.
duh.
Joker Folie
Yeah.
Deux. They released a trailer for it, and I think your feelings on the trailer pretty much line up with your feelings on the first one. Is the first film is what I've seen. It
Yes.
looks like more of the same. So people who liked the first film, I think the way they see the trailer and it looks like more of the same, they're excited. People who maybe weren't the biggest fans of the first film see it looks pretty similar. They don't even apparently there's 15 jukebox musicals in this film. They didn't show a single
We got
song.
confirmation, at least I believe it was reported today, that Lady
Yeah.
Gaga will write new original songs that can be
Well,
in
yes.
contention for this movie. So it's not going to be all jukebox as I expected. Listen, even though I don't think it was it was allowed to be in contention because it was technically written for Romeo plus Juliet. Moulin Rouge had its jukebox, but then Come What May, was the original song for the movie. So that's what I imagine Moulin Rouge is like the movie that they're put on a wall and be like, this is what we want.
Yeah, but I thought like the fact that there's so many musical sequences in the film, thought it was going to at least maybe feel a little different from the first one, but it looks very much the same to me.
Yeah.
And they were once again Warner Brothers marketing a film that is apparently a musical without showing any of the musical aspects to it. So I am interested in seeing how that turns out. But oh, and yes, as Jordan points out on the sequel topic, Ellen Romulus could be a VFX contender, I guess. I'm excited to see that one, Kaylee Spaney. And Beetlejuice, which I think got multiple Oscar nominations for the first one, so for makeup and costume design and such. So that Beetlejuice number 2. I think that's going to make a lot of money, but we'll have to see how it does awards.
I think makeup. If Maleficent, Mistress of Evil can get an Oscar nomination for makeup, I think Beetlejuice surely can.
Hopefully, they don't love horror, but I think this might be an exception.
Yeah, it's different. It's more comedy horror. It's not that far from Maleficent on the in the days of Blockbuster. They would be right by each other's side.
They would be. But you're the big Joker fan. I think you have much nicer. The comment section probably agrees with you a little. Who knows on this little more. So,
if there's two things that young Anthony loved, it was comic books and musicals. So if they didn't get me with this trailer, there was a big problem because I'm probably their target demographic. Yeah, listen, I loved the first Joker. I think for me, what these now seemingly two movies are commenting on, and I think maybe are some of the best examples of, is talking about escapism and why we escape into fantasy why we escape from reality and fortify ourselves from the truth of living because of pain and trauma. That's what I just thought was so brilliant about the first one, is that in the apex of the comic book craze, it decides to make a movie that kind of refutes every single convention of that genre and actually talks about this character who creates this comic book idea to shield himself from the pain and trauma that his mother was inflicting him. So I,
Mhm.
I just thought that was brilliant about it, and aesthetically, I just thought this is by far the best looking, one of the best looking movies of the past couple of years. I just thought Lawrence Sher's cinematography was stunning. The world they created was so unique. I just loved it. And to be frankly honest, like I mentioned the Godfather story earlier,
Mhm.
in an era when so many movies get immortalized and referenced and get preserved because of the current filmmakers paying homage to them, nobody's really doing it for Scorsese. And I worry that 20, 30 years from now, people are not going to have forgotten about Taxi Driver. Maybe we will remember it. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to get mad when we see so many movies that celebrate Star Wars. And yes, I love Star Wars as well, but I'm fine if
Mhm.
this movie wants to be a pastiche of, you know, new Hollywood 70s era filmmaking. But I also think it does have a lot of its own original ideas, and it's giving it to an audience that would never see those movies. So
Mhm.
I love the first one, and I love Lady Gaga. She is the only person that I have chosen actively to see in concert, and I went to the Chromatica Ball. Um, so yeah, this movie got me on board. I think tonally, it's making the musical elements make sense. Um, a lot of people are saying it reminds them of La La Land or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I completely agree. And those are two of my
Mhm.
favorite movies, so obviously
Yeah.
I'm on its wavelength. Um, yeah, I just think that I really love that. I don't really feel like I mentioned Moulin Rouge, but this is completely different than Moulin Rouge, it seems. And I really do think that I've never seen a movie like this, and this is why I
Mhm.
liked Barbie and Oppenheimer. This is why I like the movies that I feel like we are moving, we're pushing the boundaries further. I'm all for. And listen, I'm just really excited for this movie. This is my most
Yeah.
anticipated of the year. And it says a lot because my favorite musical on the stage is getting a film adaptation, and still, Wicked is
Yeah.
number two. So that's how much I'm looking forward to this one. And it looks from the trailer that just they might have caught lightning in a bottle once again.
Possibly, if
Yeah.
they caught it the first time, possibly. Yeah.
It was successful on every
No, I mean,
possible metric.
I
I
in that
think they
way,
caught
yes.
lightning in a bottle.
They caught lightning that way up. In terms of the
Million
artistic
dollars
pursuit,
and was the
we
most
think.
nominated movie of the year.
That's what I do worry, or not worry, think about with its awards chances. Like
Yeah.
a film that got 11 nominations. With have there even been sequels besides like Godfather to films that got that many nominations before?
Well, so
Like,
the list that it would join would be Godfather Part Two, Lord of the
yeah,
Rings, and
yeah.
Avatar. Um, those would be, and I frankly think that as much as people are, it's controversial and people have issues with it, I do think that of this era, if you're going to capture the comic book era, this is probably the one that they are going to get behind,
Mhm.
because it's doing a pastiche of the movie that they actually like in within
Yeah.
the Academy. I think also that you can't deny that the musical elements are going to get the crafts back in line. And they're going to get a lot of the crafts. It's not going to be because you saw this with Two Towers. The Two Towers did less than the first one, before Return of the King just demolished everything. But that's
Mhm.
because Two Towers. If you watch the movies, it's very similar craft to the first film. But this is going to have a completely different craft. I'm sure the music will be different, and worthy
Mhm.
of reconsideration. I just think you look at something like Wakanda Forever, the fact that that could win costume design twice, it shows that if you mix it up enough, I do think that you're going to be in contention. So I'm going to call it. I really think this is a number. This is a very big contender this year. Um,
Interesting. Well, we will have a probably more in-depth discussion about it when we go through that slideshow that I'm creating and you see where it's potentially ranked on said
do
slideshow.
you where? Let me ask you this: what, because of what we have seen from the trailer, and even like
Mhm.
I think you would say that it's on par with the first one, like
Yeah.
from the
The
outset.
technical stuff was not my issue with
Yeah.
the first film, and this looks just as good.
So I'm interested because you've alluded that you don't think it'll get to picture. What
No.
categories do you think it will lose that the first one had? And I will
I
clarify
think
because I think I remembered which 11 it had.
cinematography, no. Sequels do not get
Really?
cinematography. I mean, Top Gun missed, Avatar 2 missed. I think
But those are
it's
CGI too. At least Avatar was.
yeah, maybe. I think it because it looks similar to, and they're like, we already kind of have nominated this before. They might not go for it.
But they're
I
gonna
think it'll.
give Greg Fraser a second Oscar for
I
Doom.
didn't say he was gonna. I don't think he's gonna win either, but I
Okay.
think he'll probably be nominated because I think
Yeah.
that film will be stronger. I think it'll still get makeup probably. Um,
Nominated, right? Yeah.
Nominated, yeah. It'll probably get sound now because it's a musical
hmm
too. It got it for the first
It
one
got.
too.
I think it got both sounds, didn't it? The last time
I
back.
think
That was the
so.
last year of the two sounds.
It
Um.
was. It was.
Yeah.
Um, it won't get director again. Um,
I am interested because I really do think that if this could either play like a sequel, like Avatar,
mhm.
like Top Gun, or it plays like Mad Max, or it plays like La La Land. And I really could see it playing like La La Land. I could see it going the musical track record. I could see it.
Yeah.
There's a world, depending on the production design of these musical sequences and how they blend the two worlds together. I could see cinematography because I do think, in my opinion, it was probably Joker was number two for cinematography behind 1917. I
Yeah,
got the
probably.
sense. So like I could see a world where they've already given it to Dune, and maybe that's the number one competitor, and maybe Lawrence Sher is beloved and does great work. And just
Yeah.
I think you should star any category that La La Land won. I think you should look to this film trying to position itself to fit that. So production design, cinematography, song, score, and I do think you got to keep an eye out for Lady Gaga. Based on the rumors
Yeah.
I've heard of the
I
story, I
think
think she has a very probable chance. She broke in, like
she'll be in
Cher. She
lead,
got her
right?
first nomination. Yeah, she'll be in lead. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe she'll be in supporting. We'll see.
I mean, she could
But
fraud, who
listen,
knows?
Cher got her first nomination. I think it was for Silkwood. And
Mhm.
she proved that she was serious. And then she came back with Moonstruck, won the Oscars. So I could see a similar
I don't know if
trajectory for
she's
Lady
gonna
Gaga.
win.
We'll see.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I do think it could be kind of like Wakanda Forever, where it does get that one acting nomination and a few tech nominations, but it misses Best Picture. Is I think what I would say right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Did
Joker's got
Al?
one five. Oh,
No,
did it?
say the comment.
Oh,
I'm going to
okay.
look this up.
Joker slash Joker 2 will be like the first two Alien films. Very different, but hopefully complement each other. Possibly a Gaga nom. Like Sigourney Weaver for Aliens. That is still one of the best nominations. I think that's just awesome. I always forget that it
Yeah.
happened. But yeah, I do think Gaga, based on the trailer, and just because she's Lady Gaga and she'll be singing and like doing crazy acting. That's also the acting in these films is just so voyeuristic to me. It just doesn't appeal to me, but it does appeal to the Academy. So I think it'll be interesting. I don't think Joaquin will get nominated again because that's
I
pretty
will. This is
rare
what I wanted to look
ground.
up. I wanted to look it
Yeah.
up because also you would have to tell me, have we seen anything since this? And I don't think we have.
Hmm.
Al Pacino did get nominated for Godfather Part Two, so and he didn't win for the first one.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe that was like they wanted to give it to him for the second, and then they didn't. I don't know. Maybe that
Hmm.
was they felt an IOU off of the whole controversy with Brando being up for lead, but
Yeah.
it's proof that if you're the lead for two movies and they're both well regarded, you could get in. And
I think that's more
it,
like the exception. That's the
yeah.
Godfather than maybe the rule. I think.
But listen, we haven't seen anything like it since. I'm just saying that's again, this is what also makes this fun is that you can't
Mhm.
really. I'm comparing it to
There's
La
no
La Land. That's the
precedent. Yeah.
closest thing I can compare it to.
Yeah. And
Maybe Moulin Rouge.
I do think Joaquin Phoenix already got his Oscar, and I don't think he likes doing the campaigning stuff. So I don't think he's going to be out there pursuing a
Yeah.
nomination and all that as much as he was last time.
They
So we'll see.
might position it all towards Lady Gaga,
I
and
think
it'd
they're
be
going
like a
to.
very Olivia Colman, which would be fitting,
But like Lily
campaign,
Gladstone
or
was all
Lily
focused on
Gladstone.
her. Yeah.
So yeah, but listen, I am. I'm so excited for this movie. I'm sorry. I'm
It'll be
total film bro today, but I don't
you
care. I
are.
wear
You've
it
gone
proudly.
full film, bro. And yeah, there will be a huge campaign for her. Would
Yeah.
Gaga be the over the top contender like Emma Stone for Poor Things? We'll have to see. I looking at Best Actress this year, it's not as competitive as it has been in past years, but I mean, there's also plenty of films that we don't know about quite yet. So I don't know. You got her. You got Amy Adams for Night Bitch, which we mentioned. Saoirse Ronan could be lead or supporting for Blitz. You've got, I think, maybe a potential number one contender. Maybe it's my bias showing Angelina Jolie for Maria,
hmm
the finale to
We'll
the
see.
Pablo Larraín
People don't seem to
famous.
like those movies, which I don't
Yeah,
understand.
but those two were
Jackie
about
and Spencer underperformed.
those are about more iconic people who I think they maybe not had liked how they were portrayed because they have such a
hmm
connection and association with them. Where I don't think
hmm
Maria has that kind of association.
Yeah,
And it could be a Jolie comeback. I think
we'll
she'll
see.
definitely be nominated at least because the last two got nominated.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have a whole breakdown of all that going forward. We'll
Yeah.
have our predictions soonish, I'm sure.
Because
And
my last comment on this is just that
yeah,
if you heard the pitch for this movie, this seems more Oscar friendly than the last one. And
mhm.
so if that's true, then you kind of have to take it seriously if the last one did as well as it did. I mean, it won double. I mean,
Two.
I'm trying to think what other movies won other than Parasite, of course, because it
Mhm.
won Best Picture and won all the top ones.
Mhm.
Were there any other picture contenders that year that won more than one? I'm trying to remember. JoJo won one. Little Women won one. Marriage Story
I
won
think
one.
everyone else won one besides Irishman.
1917 won three. That was the
Oh yeah,
one.
duh. Yeah.
So you know, you got to. I think the trailer had told everybody to take us seriously once again, and I'm going to take it seriously.
We got a few other examples. Stallone for Rocky and Creed, although that was from
Yeah,
lead to supporting. I think
yeah,
Joaquin will probably still be in lead this time.
yeah.
And Kate Blanchett, technically, even though she played Elizabeth in both of these films, and she was nominated twice. So that's a good point as
Yeah.
well. Even though it's maybe not quite as like
Yeah.
cinematic universe connected, it's history connected. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. We'll have to see. I think you're much more of a believer in it, quality and awards wise, than I am. So we
Yeah.
got a little dichotomy going on there, a little balance.
Yes.
So yeah,
Makes it fun.
it
With
does. It
that,
does. That
I can't
is
believe
that
we
is
talked for an
the
hour.
end of it. Yeah, yeah. That is the Can lineup and our thoughts on the Joker 2 trailer. Keep an eye out on stuff upcoming. We'll probably do at some point at least 1 or 2 episodes talking about the Emmys and predictions for that. It'll be a weird year this year, so we'll have a little coverage. We might do 1 or 2 retrospectives, and other than that, yeah. Oh,
Bye,
challenges review
everyone.
as well. So
We'll see
thank
you
you all for
soon.
watching. Like, subscribe. We'll see you soon, and goodbye. Pew, pew.